Normandy pork is both a savory and sweet meal. It's a fine meal that would likely have been made only during certain seasons of the year based on its ingredients. Our recipe will serve around 4 people. Start with a pound of pork shoulder or loin, trimmed of all fat and cubed into 1-inch pieces. In the 19th century, fresh pork would have typically been available only during colder months. Most often, pork would have been butchered in late fall to early winter to naturally prevent it from spoiling before it could be eaten or preserved. Once the meat is cut, dredge it in about 1/3 of a cup of flour. The flour will help thicken the dish once the liquids are added. We're going to cook our Normandy pork on the hearth over hot coals in what is called a spider. Not an insect spider. The spider was the precursor to the modern skillet. It used legs to raise it above the embers. Now, if you're cooking at home on a regular stove, a flat-bottom skillet over medium heat works just as well. Melt 2 tablespoons of butter in your pan. Once the butter is hot and bubbly, add the meat. Be sure to let the meat sit long enough to form a nice caramel crust, turning it only on occasion to brown all sides. It doesn't need to be cooked all the way through. The pork will finish cooking later in this recipe. Once the pork is browned, remove it from the pan and transfer it to a separate bowl. Keep your skillet hot, adding additional butter if needed. Add to your pan 1 small, coarsely chopped onion, stirring on occasion until the onion softens and turns translucent. Then add 1 tart apple that's been pared, cored, and chopped. As the onion and apple release their juices, gently scrape up and stir in any brown bits left behind in the pan from the meat. This will add more flavor to the finished dish. Add about 1/2 tablespoon of rubbed sage, about 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and salt to taste. Then add about 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Now, the brown sugar is optional. If you choose to use it, it will enhance the developing sweetness of the apples. Next, pour in a cup of your favorite hard cider. If you're concerned about the alcohol, omit the brown sugar in the previous step and use fresh cider instead. Return your pork as well as any juices to the pan and stir it in. Simmer uncovered until the liquid in the pan thickens. Transfer it from your pan onto a serving plate and serve it right away. This meal would likely have been reserved for special occasions such as a family gathering. Admittedly, it's not one of the prettiest dishes we've ever made, but the taste easily makes up for what's lacking there. It's one of our favorite dishes to serve in Prairie Town.